Welcome to today's topic conference. It's around training and development. A lot of people on here will already know about Inspired to Care. Just a quick run through is Inspired to Care are part of Leicestershire County Council and we are also funded by Leicester City Council. And our main role is to support with the recruitment and retention for external care providers. We also support with the training and development as well, alongside Naz, who will be talking later with you. That's about it from me. So I'm going to pass over to Claire and her team from Dear Apprenticeships, who will go through all of the different apprenticeship help you can have at the moment.
Okay. Okay, is that just sharing one slide?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, lovely. Right. Okay, so thank you first of all to David for inviting us to your topic conference on training and development. Welcome to our presentation. This is a complete guide to apprenticeships for small and medium businesses. My name's Claire Indans and I'm the Apprenticeship Ambassador for the East Midlands, and I work on behalf of the Apprenticeship Ambassador Network, known as the AAN, as you can see there on the logo. The Apprenticeship Ambassador role is voluntary, it's non-profit, and it's a government initiative. It's an initiative that's run for nearly 3 years, and the programme is due to end in March 2026. So this initially started under the Department for Education and has now transferred to the DWP for the Department for Work and Pensions. The Apprenticeship Ambassadors were tasked nationally to raise awareness about apprenticeships in England, and that's the role really of the Apprenticeship Ambassadors. In addition to the Apprenticeship Ambassador Network, we work for an organisation called Dear Apprenticeships. We are an independent training provider. So today I'm going to be presenting some slides, but also presenting with me are several of my colleagues who I'm just going to introduce you to now. And they all are also part of Dear Apprenticeships. So first of all, we have Carl Hardwick, who is the Managing Director. Then we have Catherine Eames, Lucy Gavin and Emma Gray, who are also our managers. And then we've got Louise Gozard, Rekha Chauhan and Hunza Hyatt, who are our expert tutors, and they're our apprenticeship and functional skills tutors. Dear Apprenticeships, 2 weeks ago, we were really proud to say that we were awarded Training Provider of the Year. Our offices are located in Farnsfield in Nottinghamshire, however, we work nationally. So this presentation is an impartial presentation on behalf of the Apprenticeship Ambassador Network. It's not a sales pitch, it's not a promotion of Dear Apprenticeships, it's an independent presentation with the intention of providing information, advice and guidance with regards to apprenticeships. So the presentation content today, as you can see there on the screen, is a little bit about the Apprenticeship Ambassador Network, what apprenticeships are, commitments and responsibilities, and what that looks like as part of an apprenticeship. A little bit about apprenticeship standards, some information from our functional skills and apprenticeship tutors, our experts. A little bit of information around safeguarding, inclusion, participation and development. Some information around artificial intelligence and how that now starts to sit within education provision. And also information for yourselves regarding apprenticeship funding and compliance.
Hello. Hi. I actually feel a lot better now. Oh, that's good.
Okay. So the Apprenticeship Ambassador Network, so to give you a little information about what that is. So the Ambassador Network functions across 9 regions in England. And the idea of this network is to engage with small and medium enterprises known as SMEs across England. And an SME is identified as an organisation that has less than 250 employees. And it's our role as apprenticeship ambassadors to inform about apprenticeships and to give assistance and support for people who want to recruit an apprentice and manage an apprentice, but also information in general if somebody wants to know what about apprenticeships. So since March 2023, the ambassadors have supported over 2,000 SMEs and worked with employers to help them consider the benefits of apprenticeships. So for ourselves, we do things like when we work with an employer, we look at how the learner doing the apprenticeship would be a benefit to the organisation, how it would be a benefit to their business, and what sort of return on investment they may get from that apprenticeship. So the Apprenticeship Ambassador Network has supported, as I say, over 2,000 apprentices to date. By the end of March 2026, the target is to have supported 3,000 SMEs. So currently we're sat at 76%. So we're on track to have engaged with SMEs. The engagement doesn't have to relate to somebody taking on an apprentice and starting that apprenticeship journey. It's purely about giving information, a bit like today, about what apprenticeships are, and so people have an awareness of what an apprenticeship looks like. It's not necessarily about somebody having to take on an apprentice. And that's part of what I say about it's not a sales pitch, it's just information given. So what we can do as part of the Ambassador Network is we can give advice on something which is known as the Digital Apprenticeship Service, or often referred to as the DAS. And that's part of an apprenticeship and part of how the funding works. We can give clear advice on apprenticeship rules and standards and compliances. We can help with finding the right provider for your business, so a right training provider for your business. So if you came to us and said, you know, we want to know a bit about our apprentices, or we want to put somebody on an apprenticeship, we would impartially give you advice about the best provider for you, for your business. Also give advice on funding and support with recruiting the apprentice as well. Okay, Emma, over to you.
Thank you. So this is where you're going to start playing a bit of person ping pong between us all, going through all these slides. So what are apprenticeships? So gone is the age old, saying of earn whilst you learn and things like that we used to say to your 16-year-olds. This is where it is really a government initiative for lifelong learning. And that's the thing now. So it's a case of making sure that people have an opportunity to gain knowledge and skills to be able to progress within their workplace. So they need to be employed in a real job and have, the support of the employer to be able to conduct themselves as part of an apprenticeship. So to start an apprenticeship, a person has to be age 16 or over, live in England and not in full-time education, drawing down some additional funding elsewhere. Apprenticeships, like I say, it's lifelong learning these days. So it's not just for your school leavers. It's for those that are, starting careers later in life, wanting a step up, wanting to learn more, wanting to, gain more skills to underpin their current knowledge and be able to support their workforce and their business more effectively.
You, Emma? Okay, so there are lots and lots of different apprenticeships. So there's 700 or over 700 different apprenticeship types that can be taken. And these range from level 2, which is intermediate, which is equivalent to a GCSE, right the way through to level 7, which is equivalent to a master's degree. And as you can see there, everything in between. They are categorized into what's referred to as routes. So the routes you can see down the left-hand side, and the routes are the sectors within which the apprenticeships sit within. So for example, we've got business and admin, we've got care services, we've got digital, etc. And that's kind of how that sits and how that works across those 700 different types of apprenticeship. So there's an apprenticeship for everybody, for every sector, essentially. Catherine, over to yourself.
Thanks, Claire. So regardless of whatever route or type of apprenticeship that you choose, it's a really substantial programme of what's called on and off the job training, and it focuses on knowledge, skills and behaviours, and you receive a nationally recognised qualification that's referred to as an apprenticeship standard. When you've achieved that qualification, you can also apply for the PARS, the Post Apprenticeship Recognition Scheme, which allows you to use post-nominal letters. So it really shows the depth and detail of the apprenticeships that you can apply for that to be applied afterwards. In terms of the knowledge, skills and behaviours, that helps you to complete a study of learning so you know what, and in terms of skills and behaviours, how to do it, when to do it and why to do it within your particular area of interest or your particular vocation. The training is delivered by your independent training provider with the support and guidance of your employer. Your employer is really critical to giving you exposure to situations and tasks within the work environment where you can grow and develop within your role and on the pathway that you're taking. There's no cost to the apprentice, to the learner for the apprenticeship. So apprenticeship is funded through something called either the levy or non-levy. And your employer will be able to use that to support their apprentices and to gain those skills within the business. So it really is a work-based training programme. There is support from your employer, commitment from the learner, the employee, and the support from the training provider to deliver that KSBs. You put the next slide on, Claire. So thinking about those responsibilities, as an employer, your responsibilities to your apprentice, a lot of that are things that you will already be delivering for your apprentice, so ensuring that they're in a safe working environment, that they have that contract of employment, and the apprentice is an employee within your business. What you'd also be expected is to support that apprentice through reviews with the training provider, which are completed every 12 weeks during the apprenticeship programme. So you will understand, and the training provider will give updates as to progress, any support that's needed, and how you can ensure that everyone's on track to complete the apprenticeship. Your employees and the training that they will be undertaking is during working hours. So that's on the job training. There's no requirement to complete any apprenticeship work outside of regular working hours. So it's really important that the employee and the employer work together to ensure that that training is delivered during working hours. As a training provider, we create an individual learning plan. We deliver the training to deliver that knowledge and learning in an organised manner, and we will guide you to create projects and to look at activities within the working environment that allow you to apply your learning, apply that knowledge and demonstrate your skills that you are developing through there. Pastorally, we'll also supply information, advice and guidance and wellbeing support throughout your apprenticeship to ensure that it's a positive experience and that you gain your apprenticeship in a really positive manner. Thank you, Claire. Can I go to the next slide? Each apprenticeship standard has an assessment, and you can see on the screen here an example of what that assessment might look like. Throughout your practical period, so at the time that you're on programme and learning those knowledge and developing those skills and behaviours, you'll be working towards being ready for that assessment. The example here is the team leader standard level 3, and there are 2 assessment methods that you will work towards and complete. So one is a professional discussion. That's a conversation with your assessor where you're talking about examples of how you've applied your skills, knowledge that you've gained, and that's underpinned by a portfolio of evidence that you can refer to and demonstrate what you've learned during your apprenticeship. The team leader assessment, you will also deliver a presentation, so a 20-minute presentation, which links to again demonstrating the knowledge, skills and behaviours that you've learned during the apprenticeship. Those are positive assessments, so the assessor is there to guide you to demonstrate your learning during that assessment. Other aspects of the apprenticeship standard, as you can see on the screen and that's been referred to already. So there is a practical period of learning. At the end of that practical period, which you have been delivered by your expert tutor, you'll move on to your what's called the gateway, and that's the time when you are ready for assessment and preparing for your assessment, and then you will sit what's called your endpoint assessment or EPA. That's delivered through an independent endpoint assessment organisation separately to your training provider.
Thank you.
Functional skills. Oh, sorry, Claire.
No, go on, carry on.
It was just a little bit about functional skills, and I know Rebecca might expand on that shortly. But functional skills, if you look to improve or to gain additional functional skills, that's maths and English qualifications during your apprenticeship. You should also be supported to do that during your apprenticeship. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so first of all, over to Louise.
Okay, so I'll just talk for a few minutes then about the role of the tutor in an apprenticeship programme. So a key component to the learner's success is the relationship between the tutor and the learner. So right at the start of the apprenticeship, a tutor will encourage the learner in some personal reflection activities so that they can understand the learner's communication style and learning style, and then they can adapt their own style to get the most out of the time they spend together. Initially, tutors provide clarity on what learners actually need to do to achieve the programme. It can at the beginning seem a little overwhelming, and the tutor works really hard to establish rapport, break it all down into manageable chunks, and provide as much support as the learner needs. The rapport and engagement develops over time, usually across the one-to-one meetings that they hold monthly. This is where they can ask questions about the learning they've experienced this month, but it's also a comfortable space for discussion and reflection. A tutor often mentors in these sessions to support them with real work issues, but also provides emotional support through coaching. And a tutor can signpost to additional support avenues such learners need that. The aim of this relationship with the tutor is that the relationship sustains motivation and engagement as tutors walk at the learner's pace to suit them and their organisation, yet they're striving to meet targets and milestones. The level of the support the tutor offers is variable to suit the learner, but they will always be maintaining the commitment levels established at the outset. Learners are expected to commit to the programme, and this is matched with the commitment and enthusiasm from the tutor to ensure that learners can perform at their very best. The tutor not only establishes this kind of relationship with the learner, but also with the organisation. When the tutor works in partnership with the organisation, they can understand projects that are coming up, opportunities that learners might benefit from, and support learners might need. The tutor might always also ask the organisation if opportunities could be opened up to enable the learner to meet the requirements of the apprenticeship, as well as develop and grow within that role. At the end of the process, during assessment, tutors will have instilled the confidence in learners to sell their own work back to the assessor with a pride in their journey that they've just undertaken. Co-op cafes are one way that learners might offer additional support. These are meetings that allow learners to come together, to share ideas, to network, provide support to each other, and sometimes to realise they are all thinking the same thing and in the same boat. Sometimes the network is in their own sector, sometimes it's across different sectors, but learners report how useful they are, how useful they find them, and sometimes how they've gone on to network with people outside of the sessions within their own sectors to share best practice and resources. Sometimes in cohort cafes, the tutor plans activities and that fosters discussion and learning, but sometimes they leave the sessions open and then learners can decide how they would like to use their time. Overall, tutors are aiming for the kind of relationship where when the apprenticeship is drawing to a close, learners say, I'm going to miss you, I've enjoyed spending time with you, I've enjoyed working with you. And so the development isn't just about the qualification, but the personal growth the learner achieves, maybe in confidence or resilience, as well as the skill set. And the tutor facilitates that growth. And as a tutor myself, I can say that that role is very rewarding. Thanks, Claire.
Thank you, Louise. Catherine, over to yourself.
It's really important to consider what to look for in a training provider so that you're confident that the training provider is going to deliver a programme that suits your organisation and your learners. And part of that might be looking at how that delivery is given. So as Louise has described, the delivery that you can expect, for example, through DEAR and through other training providers. So firstly, looking at what is the apprenticeship qualification that you're interested in, and finding a training provider that delivers that qualification, can demonstrate understanding and knowledge in that area and is looking at giving you a return on that investment. Looking at the delivery method and if that's suitable for your business and what you can accommodate within your business and that it's manageable for your apprentices and learners. It may be that that's delivered remotely, as we're on Teams calls today, whether you would expect the tutors to be within your business and to visit the business at any time. Also consider the pastoral support that the training provider is offering to your apprentices. It is a very substantial qualification and a period of time that they will be working with the apprentice. So looking at that personal growth and development support as well, and that signposting to what might come next. Look at the communication channels. Are they working with you and talking to you early days about what they can offer, how they can support you, how they can make this investment work for your business? Really important that you're happy with that and consider those sorts of things. And being able to deliver that knowledge, skills and behaviours in the context of your industry, to be able to give the best input to your learners and your apprentices for their development within your business. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Catherine. And over to yourself, Emma.
So in terms of opportunities for apprentices and for the businesses, the initial thing would be the continuous careers information, advice and guidance that takes place, you know, throughout the apprenticeship. So at the start, we would consider, you know, does this apprenticeship meet the goals of the individual? Do they want to do the apprenticeship? How is this going to support them in their role? How is this going to support them with their future career development? And this is again is assessed throughout the apprenticeship and then at the end of the apprenticeship as well. So where are they going to move to next? What's the next opportunity for them? So to consider, you know, are there going to be further apprenticeships, further qualifications? Are there higher apprenticeships that they want to move on to? Or do you need to consider a sidestep? We'll come on to a slide later on which tells you a little bit more about what's happening with the level 7 funding. But if somebody was to complete their level 7, what's next for them? So sidesteps are really important to consider. And it's not necessarily that they're taking a backwards step, but actually broadening their skills. We have an example of this, you know, at DEAR at the moment. So we have looked at this and looked at what the sidestep is for the Operations 5 manager qualifications and the senior leader level 7s, and looking at something like a business analyst qualification. So looking at the strategic vision, analysing challenges, how they can drive performance, promote efficiency, and it will just broaden those leadership and management skills. So those side steps are really important to consider as opportunities come the end of an apprenticeship. And there will be hundreds of different side steps that you can take as an apprentice when it comes to that end. So having a look at those lists, and if there is more funding available from your organisation, great, take up that opportunity to look at that. Louise also mentioned when she was talking about the tutors and the projects, an apprenticeship can be a really good opportunity for a business to set projects for individuals that they've not had the time to look at. So if they were considering something that they wanted to, you know, bring in, it's perfect as an opportunity to set that for the apprentice. They can work that through, do the research, allocate the time for it, and then you can consider, is this something that's actually going to work for the business and provide some definite business support or not, you know, as the case may be. But it's a really good opportunity to look at those projects to try and get that business growth throughout the apprenticeship, as well as developing the skills of the individuals that are on those courses. Thank you.
Lovely, thank you, Emma. So Louise, Catherine and Emma, thank you very much for your expertise there. Some really valuable information and advice given there. Thank you. So moving on to functional skills and what functional skills is, I'm just going to pass over to Rebecca. Rebecca, can you hear me?
Hi, yes, sorry. Good afternoon. Right, so why are functional skills matters in apprenticeships? It involves core skills across levels. Functional skills in maths and English are essential at all apprenticeship levels for effective communication and numeracy. Workplace applications, maths supports budgeting and data analysis, while English adds in reports and emails and presentations in the workplace. How often have we had emails with incorrect information or reports with errors in it? not being able to analyze data, etc. By doing functional skills within the apprenticeship would actually help the learners and also the employers to make sure to avoid those kind of errors. Also in leadership and progression, advanced literacy and numeracy are valued for leadership roles and contribute in a strategic thinking and efficiency. It's also a lifelong benefit where it enhances confidence, employability, and opens doors to further education and career growth. Education is a passport to the future, for tomorrow belongs to those who prepare for it today. So that's by Malcolm X. I want you to expand on that and explain that, you know, the impact of functional skills. Why functional skills are, they're actually an unlocking potential within the apprenticeship or also within the apprenticeship role. It empowers success. Functional skills give apprentices the confidence to communicate effectively, to solve problems. And these aren't just academic skills, okay? They are life skills that empower individuals to thrive in any workplace. Real world impact. Think about writing a professional email, presenting ideas to a team, or managing a budget project. These tasks require on strong English and math skills, and without them, it stalls the progress. With them, opportunities multiply. Driving career growth, employers look for people who can think critically, analyze data, and express ideas for clarity. These skills open doors to leadership roles and higher level apprenticeship. Education, so when we invest in functional skills, we're not just meeting a standard, we're shaping futures. Every skill learned today is a step forward towards confidence, success, limitless possibility. Education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world, and that's by Nelson Mandela. Thank you.
Lovely, thank you, Rebecca. And that again, really valuable information regards to maths and English and why they are so essential and how they can be located within an apprenticeship as well. Thank you. So moving on to a funding update. So Emma previously just mentioned about level 7 and changes to level 7 funding. So Emma, if you'd just like to talk through that element.
Yeah, so from the 1st of January this year coming, so 2026, the level 7 apprenticeships, the funding is changing. So for individuals aged 22 and over, they're no longer going to be funded for a level 7 qualification. So that means that individuals under 21, under 22, the funding is still there. But how many 21-year-olds are in a senior position where they're able to undertake a level 7 qualification? There's going to be very few, very, very few. So it's one of those things now where you need to consider and you need to act fast. If there are some senior staff within your business that you think would benefit from a level 7 qualification, you need to act now. The apprentice does need to have started by the 31st of December. So if your business closes, you know, by the 23rd of December, they need to be on by then, because everything needs to be done during a working pattern. So somebody can't do it if they are on leave or on holiday. They have to be in work on that day that they do their induction and start their apprenticeship. So it's something that you need to think about now very, very quickly. Are there some senior staff within your business that would really benefit from a level 7 qualification? And make those moves now, and we can support you with finding that right level 7 training provider.
Thank you, Emma. Great. Okay, so just to change direction slightly then, thinking about apprenticeships and artificial intelligence and how that links within apprenticeships. So last week, the government produced a document, a report, which is called AI Skills for the UK Workforce. And what they've done in that report is they've identified that if we implement artificial intelligence within the workforce, this can boost the UK economy by 400 billion by 2030. And this is what they're working towards, this as their target. What they've done is they've identified 10 key areas or 10 focus areas in which they feel as though AI is a growing area, but also there's a skills need within those areas. And as we can see there, digital, health and social care, financial services, etc. And that's those 10 areas that they've suggested. When we talk about artificial intelligence, it can sound really scary, and it can sound a little bit like, well, that's something I've heard of and it happens in other businesses, but it's not kind of relevant in our business. Anybody who saw the Panorama programme last night might have seen Elon Musk talk about humanoid robots and talk about digital superintelligences. But actually, artificial intelligence doesn't have to be like that and doesn't have to look like that, particularly in an SME where, you know, on the day-to-day basis, we're not looking at digital superintelligence and using robots. And actually, artificial intelligence can look much more simple. It might be something like doing a Google search. It might be looking at some sort of using some sort of a tool to analyze data or to identify feedback that we may get within our business. It could be using different Google tools. They're all part of artificial intelligence. So when we think of artificial intelligence, we don't have to think of that great bigger picture. We can then think about how it impacts it and how it can be implemented within our own workplaces. With that in mind, what the government have done is they have produced a package, and as you can see there on the screen, and there's 3 elements to that package. There's the AI skills framework, there's an adoption pathway model, kind of how can we make it happen, how are we going to adopt it? And then there's also a checklist that they've produced as well, in which we might want to use to think about how does it fit within our own business? So just to have a look at that in a little bit more detail. So the AI skills framework, the suggestion is that there's 3 different types of skill levels in organisations. So we've got technical skills, we've got responsible or ethical skills, and then we've got non-technical skills. And the suggestion is that AI can sit within any of those roles within an organisation. Like I say, what we've got then is the adoption pathway, and in that adoption pathway, it's kind of how we make it happen, how that can happen within the organisation, and to make it functional. The image on the right shows the AI adoption checklist. These slides will be made available to yourselves. On the bottom of this slide is the link to that checklist, which is a checklist that any organisation can download and use. And the idea of that checklist, or that tool, is that you can have a look at how ready you are for incorporating AI within your business, where it fits, and also, importantly, where it doesn't fit and where you're not going to incorporate it. So it's just kind of a tool to get you thinking about how you might apply AI within a business. And then moving on, Emma, I'm going to pass over to yourselves with regards to safeguarding and inclusion.
Thank you. I could honestly talk for hours about this. I won't, and I won't bore you with that. But in terms of safeguarding, you know, look, 15 years ago, it was a case of, is the person safe? Is there a risk to life? Have they got a gambling addiction, a drug addiction, an alcohol addiction? It's so much wider than that now. There's been so many more developments when you consider the prevent agenda and radicalisation, all the different things that impact on an individual these days, particularly equality and diversity, the protected characteristics, how they all feature within an individual's daily life as well as their working life, how they can recognise the strengths of these individuals, and how, you know, bringing these people together as a team and including everybody can actually build stronger teams within a business. And it's recognising that. Throughout our inductions, we look at the whole safeguarding process, British values, but also taking into consideration people's mental health and well-being. It's really, really important to make sure that people are managing that work-life balance, managing their study as well as their work, and still having that life for themselves, and getting enjoyment, you know, from what they're doing. And that is part of the apprenticeship as well. So it is covering all of this and how this all supports an individual, supports their growth, supports their whole life going forwards. In terms of further issues, you know, you're talking lots and lots and lots of different categories of safeguarding these days. We have to be up on this. We have to be knowledgeable in this area to be able to support people effectively. We even look at different programs to support people, different referral organisations. So we have national referral banks and local referral banks that we can send people to for additional support should they need it. We can also provide additional inclusion support within our delivery. We actually operate something called Cognosist, which looks at people's cognitive ability, how they learn, where their gaps are in their learning, how we can support with that. Do they need any additional support that we can provide, and be able to support them with that growth and with that learning and build this full inclusive package to be able to support an individual with their apprenticeship.
Great, thank you. Thank you for that, Lucy. Emma, sorry, thank you for that, Emma. And then again, just to change position again, we're just now going to have a look at funding. So I'm going to hand over to Carl and then Lucy. So Carl, to yourselves first of all.
Okay, so looking at apprenticeship funding then, there are two main streams for funding the apprenticeship training, and one of those is what's been touched on earlier, is what's called the apprenticeship levy, and that is any organisation that has an annual pay bill of over £3 million, they get an automatic tax from the government on that PAYE bill each month of 0.5%. Whatever that amount is, that is put into a digital account, and that funding in those accounts is only you can only spend that funding on apprenticeship training. There may be some changes to that in the coming months, as we get information about the new white paper from the government. But at the moment, the apprenticeship levy for large organisations with an annual pay bill of over 3 million, their tax that they put into the digital account can only be spent on apprenticeships. Every employer who pays into the levy has an apprenticeship digital service account, which is the DAS, and it's in that account that they can access and find how much funds they've got within that account that they can then spend on apprenticeship training. I will add that if those funds are not spent within 2 years, HMRC will just automatically take that account out, take that money out. So then we look at the second largest funding stream for apprenticeships, and that's for SMEs, for companies that are below that PAYE bill of £3 million, and so don't have a direct levy account themselves. In those cases, the government will pay 95% of the training, and then they expect the employer to fund 5% of that training. Now, what that actually means is, for instance, if you've got a team leading qualification whose funding band's set at £4,500 for the programme, the employer would need to contribute 5% of that, so we'll be contributing £225 towards that training. It's the training providers themselves that are tasked with collecting the 5% employer contribution, and as Catherine alluded to earlier, finding the right training provider can often help as well, because some training providers may offer monthly contributions for that amount. There's a third stream, and there's sometimes quite a lot of restrictions around the third stream, but what there is the ability, and that is some of the larger levy paying organisations who don't necessarily spend their funds will sometimes offer that funding to be transferred from their levy account to other organisations. Like I said, when I say some of the there's sometimes some restrictions, as in you tend to find that large companies in the logistics would look for specific qualifications to transfer funding to that impact on their industries. So people doing supply chain qualifications and things like that. That element is known as a levy transfer. There are some out there, you know, and it's always worth asking your training providers if they've got access to any levy transfer, or they know any employers that's doing any levy transfer, and grasp that opportunity. If you're an SME, then that takes away your 5% funding, because the full amount of the training will come out of the levy transfer.
Great, thank you, Carl. And then continuing with funding, over to yourself, Lucy.
Yes, so the next couple of slides just touches on the levy transfers. So employers who do not pay the levy, so there's two ways to obtain the apprenticeship funding. So number one would be to receive a transfer of levy funds from a levy paying employer. So this is where the levy paying employer will transfer you the levy funds in order to pay for your training and assessment costs. The transfer must cover 100% of these costs up to the maximum funding band, and there's no limit on the amount of transfers that you can receive. Number two would be to reserve the apprenticeship funding. So in this scenario, the government will pay the 95% of the funding, and the remaining amount will be covered by the employer. So key rules for receiving employers. So the transfer must be agreed and put into place before the apprentice starts. The transfer amount you receive must cover 100% of the eligible training and assessment costs. However, at if any point during the apprenticeship insufficient funds, then the employer must cover the remaining amount. So to view available transfers, so you'll be able to see all transfer opportunities on the gov.uk website. So this is the digital apprenticeship service. And here you will be able to apply filters and find the right transfer for you. So eligibility, so you've got to have an account set up on the digital apprenticeship service and apply for the transfer through there. You've got to be a non-levy or committed levy payer. So this is usually when you're eligible to receive the transfer, you're non-levy, or you're a levy payer sending the levy funds. And we must focus on new starts. So this is when we agree to have the apprentice start a new start date, and we can process it from there. And that's just a screenshot of an example. When you are logged into the digital apprenticeship service, this is what you will see.
Great, thank you, Lucy. Okay, so within this presentation, we've given you lots of information. So what we've done is we've provided you with the relevant links, so that if you want to go back and have a look at any of these areas again, you can access those live links and you will be able to obtain more information. Also, if you want to hear any more information about apprenticeships, then you can contact ourselves, and we will support you as part of the Apprenticeship Ambassador Network, and we'll be able to support you and answer any of your questions that you may have going forward. If any of you want to have what was referred to as a buddy interaction, if you want to buddy with us, we can then work with you and support you if you think you might want to take an apprenticeship on in the future as well. And just to say, really, thank you for listening. And if anybody's got any questions, we're happy to take questions.
There's a question that's come up in the chat at the moment. So it says, are tutors generally just allocated to a learner, or are they matched according to experience?
Okay, bear with me 1 moment. Just stop sharing. Okay, so a bit of both really. So the apprenticeship tutor will have a specialism in a particular area. So the learner will be matched with that tutor who has that apprenticeship specialism. So yeah, a bit of both with regards to that. If that answers your question.
Is there any more questions? No, I don't think so. So that's brilliant. Thank you very much, everyone, for coming along and doing that for us. I think it's really interesting, and I've seen the presentation before, but the addition to the AI information was really interesting to me. So I will look forward to rewatching it until I finally retain all of the information in there. I'll get, if you send me through the slides, I will get that out to everyone.
Thank you.
And I will also send you the link afterwards as well to the recording, so you can use it for your own purposes as well.
Thank you.
So you are all more than welcome to stay if you want to, or go, do as you please. But I'm going to hand over to Naz now from LSCDG.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. Hope you're still here. Now, you know, in true L&D fashion, I'm not going to sit here and talk to you. I'm going to get some audience participation. So before I start, my name is Naz Hussain. I'm the Business and Development Manager for the LSCDG, which is the Leicestershire Social Care Development Group. And I don't know how many of you on this call know about LSCDG or me. If not, shame on you. Right, you know, like I said, let's get some people on the keyboards. Let's have some fun. Here's a question for you. I'm going to put in the chat. If you could have one superpower to help you in your care role, what would it be and why? You don't need to shout it out, just type it in the chat. So let me just put the question in the chat. If you could have one superpower to help you in your care role, what would it be and why? Let's see what people come back with. So let me put that in the chat for you. And we can see what people put in there. No worries, Gina, you can go. It's what, 10 minutes. Mind reading, so I can understand what their needs are. Okay, that's a good one, Michelle. Dave, time freeze, assess situations with more time. Yeah, that's a good one. And Nicholas, could understand what others want to make more comfy. Absolute. Wouldn't it be brilliant if we just read people's mind and come up with the solutions? But unfortunately, that's not the way the world works. Come on, we've got about 14 people here. You're telling me this? Come on, get on the keyboards. Fly to get to calls quicker. Okay, that's a good one. Typical, isn't it? The phone rings and you try to get to it and it cuts off. What else have we got? Come on, a few more. Someone's typing away. Okay, we'll pick some of that later on. But having superpowers is brilliant, isn't it? Right. So I'm going to share my screen and hopefully, what have we got there? Someone's come back with psychic powers to convey my communication as well as knowing what others are thinking and feeling. Oh, excellent. And a regular mentor. Definitely. Okay, let's share my slides and hopefully, let me start that again. I have got a video to play. Will work. If not, we'll do demo. So, what am I going to talk about? Training development, learning development, whatever you want to call it. So again, before I start, what does learning development mean to you in social care? Okay, definitely, Jai will send that to you. And I've got to apologize for the slides, but unfortunately, my slides messed up yesterday night. So there's some links and all that don't work. So what I would do, Michelle and David, I would forward you the latest version after finish. So come on, folks. What is learning development meaning in social care? We all can't have you sitting quietly. We need some participation. Or will I scare them off already,
It
Michelle?
should be a bit of an entertainer to entice people to want to answer you then.
Yeah. See, that it makes a massive difference when you're actually in a room with full of people than being online. And that also goes to training and learning development. The group dynamics is absolutely different. Meeting the client's needs through the correct behavior skills. Thanks for that, Mark. Appreciate that. Definitely. But I'll save everyone the trouble and say, well, it's a generic reading, really. It's a structured approach, really, isn't it, to skills, knowledge, and career progression for care workers at the end of the day to ensure that they provide best possible service, isn't it? Yes, constantly staying up to date with developments in the field to ensure the best possible care and support for our service. Absolutely. Okay, what I'm going to do, I'm going to take a deep dive into learning and development. And I'm not trying to teach you your role. I think sometimes it's always good to step back and listen to people. And what I'm going to say to you or present to you, you'll probably already know. But I always think it's worth just go over what learning and development is about in social care. So today's session is going to focus around learning development in social care, obviously. Understand the importance of learning and development. Look at some strategies and some practical strategies. All right. I'm not saying we have all the answers today, but just a few pointers for you. So why does L&D matter? Come on, people, if you use the chat function, or if you want, I'm not sure if you've been unmuted, speak to me. Why does learning development matter? Do we just send people for training and that's it? Why does it matter? To always improve, thank you, training team. I'm not sure who that is, but again, thanks, Mark. Improves retention, absolutely. It's progressive. Yes, you guys should be doing the presentation and not me to drive quality. Thank you. Definitely. So let's share some pointers. Keeps the client happy, absolutely. Yes, so you've covered, it is about the career quality, isn't it? It is about improving the staff skills and confidence, enhancing their ability to work in a setting. I mean, there's nothing worse or bad, I don't know the words used to use, that you start in a role and you absolutely have no training, you have no clue what you're doing. I remember when I first started in a role and the person who was working there before had left and there was no notes, nothing whatsoever. And I thought, what have I got myself into? Obviously there was a manager, but unfortunately this was like an office-based role and I had to sort of fumble my way through and ask questions and go on training, and it was hard work. It really was. But you know the beauty about it, you know, when you get thrown at the deep end, you actually come out as a better person. And just like learning development training, you know, you start somewhere and you gradually rise, you know, and definitely to leadership material. So with LSEDG, we provide a training plan, and our training plan, those of you who are aware of it, includes things like moving, handling, train the trainer, safeguarding, trainer, and leadership skills, particularly around, there's one called Lead to Succeed, which is a 4-day program for a 5-day program for up and coming and sort of rising talented staff who managers can see are potential leaders. And then there's a 4-day course, the Well-Led, which is for current managers. So absolutely, you know, Mark's coming out, keeps the client happy, strengthens the business. Without the finance, there is no business, absolutely. And the business growth and quality care enhancement, absolutely. Thanks for your audience participation. It's really useful to hear, to see you reading people. We've covered this because at the end of the day, and I appreciate it, in social care, staff retention is an issue. Now, if we have the correct sort of training plans, if we have good leadership, and if we want to drive quality, if we can retain this number of staff we have underneath us that work for us, isn't that brilliant? Isn't that sort of a harmonious team that will improve the staff morale? You know, people will feel valued and will enjoy the role. And you know, again, I can vouch for that. I've been in teams where the managers just want to push you through training, I'm not just saying any old training, is the correct training for the right person in the right role. And many a times on our training, I always ask people, or the managers, are you sending the right staff to be trained, to be learning in development? It's not about numbers, not about sending out someone for a day or half a day. It truly means someone that's going to turn up and actually engage with the trainers and go back into the organization and actually deliver some of that training or make an impact. There's nothing worse than sending someone who's going to sit there, and actually we've had people that turn up and we've actually turned people away because they've literally come from a night shift and joined in the course, and you can quite clearly see they're not up to it, and we've actually turned them away and we've spoken to the managers. So to ensure that we have staff retention is actually, vital that we provide them opportunities. And it's about career progression. I touched on, people starting as a role and, they may be just carers at that point. And who knows, in years to come, they are managers. And it happens. It's career progressions where an individual will turn up in an organization, really enjoy that working there. And through the momentum over the years, they've gradually gone into a senior care or team leader, and suddenly they're the manager as well, which is great. But along that comes all the sort of training, the learning, the skills that help them to sort of ensure the team works together. And on our leadership courses in Wonderland, we have many examples where we have individuals who been working for a number of years, but they just haven't got that skill to say maybe lead a team in a correct manner, have those conversations that need to be those difficult conversations because they've been working with friends for a number of years, and suddenly they're the manager. So if we want a cohesive team, then it's really ensure that there's career progression in hand. And, that may be possible, that may not be possible. All depends on your organization, how big it is. And absolutely, there's a benefits that if you have a competent workforce, then, it keeps the whole organization ticking over, which quite rightly most of you or some of you have actually put in the chat. So in the context of regulation, I don't need to tell you this, but I think it's worth us touching on. CQC will come out and start asking about, the training for staff and the competencies, and that's really important. And the continuous training and support, often we get contract officers saying they've been out to an organization, they need support with an individual or a team or organization because they've just been through a CQC assessment. It's absolutely vital that you understand that if you don't sort of meet those requirements, then there could be issues down the path. So it's really important that you ensure that you tick all the right boxes and ensure staff are sort of developed. You keep good training records, and we'll touch on that later on around the adult social care workforce data set, or whether you keep your own training records. So in terms of like Skills for Care, I don't know, I'm sure most of you people are aware of Skills for Care. They do provide guidelines on their website about the training and help providers develop a workforce. And I'm not talking for Skills for Care, but I would promote them because we work very closely together. We have on Skills for Care, they're regional registered managers networks and deputy registered managers networks. If you haven't signed up, please do sign up because they do have regular meetings. And Jennifer Langford, who is the locality manager for our area, she arranges them, and she often talks about, the good work that goes on where individuals come up and meet as managers and can talk about issues, because you may have a problem where someone else has got a solution. So again, I'm not talking for Skills for Care, but I do advocate for them to go on their website, and there's lots of toolkits, lots of information around funding and learning and development, and also workshops that they provide. So, please do have a look at that. Local authorities will have also requirements, specific frameworks, and expect you to be compliant with them. So if you've got a contract with City or the county, I'm sure you're quite aware that you will need to be compliant. Again, we often get, I'm just repeating myself, compliance officers coming up to us and saying, can you go out or can you just talk to these individuals about what training offer we have through the LSEDG. I think it's also address the training challenges that, and then adopt some strategies. So I don't know how many of you, I don't want to sound rude, workforce plan, you know, in terms of where you're going to recruit your staff, you know, and how you can recruit your staff if anyone was leaves, in terms of talent management. And, you know, David and Michelle are here on Inspired to Care, not forgetting Jenny as well, to tap into them. But it's to think about your workforce and how you're going to recruit them. And, you know, our colleagues were talking about apprenticeships earlier on, all different avenues where you can tap into, you know, go and talk to your local schools and colleges, you know, talent sort of management. You know, you hear about football players getting picked at your very young age, not just football, any sports. You know, go to your local schools and colleges, promote adult social care. And I'm sure, you know, you can pull in a whole heap of good resources there. I mentioned competency and skills. So I'm just quickly going to just chat about the, you know, obviously you're all aware that it's person-centered, dimension and safeguarding are key ones, communication, empathy, and digital literacy and care. All these are sort of, not saying these are the only ones, there's many others, but it's to be aware of the competencies and skills that are required for an individual to work in our setting and to be trained upon that. So what sort of effective strategies do we have or can help to support with? So with the learning, with LSEDG, we do have online training. We do have face-to-face sessions. So the blended approach is around ensuring you just don't go through one avenue. So where e-learning is useful, use e-learning. Where you can send an individual on a course in a classroom base, please do send people. Or it could be a train-the-trainer approach. Like I mentioned earlier on, we have courses like the moving and handling and the train-the-trainer and safeguarding. These are based on individuals that come to our literally county hall, are taught, they're trained up, and then they're competent to train your staff within your own organization. So please do look at sort of using a blended learning approach, and each individual is different. You know, some people may enjoy e-learning or online, you know, is fair enough, but look at a mix of that because that's the way we want to go forward. Peer learning and mentoring, someone talked about having a mentor, and that's absolutely brilliant, having someone within your own organization that can mentor and, you know, learn off people skills and experience. And I know many years ago I had a mentor, and it makes a huge difference. Someone can just go and talk to, and I've done it the other way as well. I've been a mentor for somebody else, just to go and talk to someone, because we all need us, you know, a little bit of guiding hands. And, you know, please do look at your own organization who can help where. If not, I don't know how often you do this. This could be through the Registered Manager Network or another care home or care provider who works down the road, and you can maybe just bounce ideas off or help each other. But it's something to definitely look at anyway. Also to look back and evaluate experiences and, you know, people read out to you. It's about reflecting on, you know, your practicing and learning actually. So I mentioned earlier on about if you attend any training, to ensure that individual has learned something. You know, I'm not saying you put them up on a room and start asking them questions, but you check every couple of months, like you've been to this and the safeguarding training. Can you deliver part of that course, or can you do something that will enable the rest of the team to understand it? So it's all about, you know, making sure that it's value for money as well, and make it sort of micro learning, you know, sort of short focused learning. And we say this around, for example, safeguarding as an example. We have a 2-day learning course and there's 8 modules. Now we don't expect, 7 modules, individuals to learn all 7 modules and then go and teach those and train people in 7 modules all in one go, because it's not going to go through anyone's head. It's going to go. So it's about understanding and ensuring that you have short bursts of training sessions. So it could be even a 20-minute session, it could be a 10-minute session, but make it fun as well. So, you know, for example, on the safeguarding, there's a bingo game, and you know, it's all around safeguarding, but if those know how to play bingo, if you win a prize. So it is having a bit of a fun, but in the same way, also about learning. And like I said, you could have team meetings where for 10 minutes, you know, the manager or anyone can talk about maybe leadership skills or visions or values of the organization. I hope this is all making sense, and I'm sure you already know this. So what tools and resources are there? So I talked about Skills for Care. If you haven't been on the website, trust me, go on it. There's lots of toolkits you can find, and I'm sure there's many toolkits on the Inspired to Care website as well. And there's online platforms, and I put SCI there, which is Social Care Institute of Excellence, and e-learning for healthcare. There's lots of free learning out there, and there's also providingcare.net. I will send these links out to you that you can go and access. Locally, there's the local authority support, which is the LSEDG. I'm here to support any care provider that works across city and county. Like I mentioned, we do have a training plan. At the moment, we've got a bit of a pause on some of the courses only due to recruitment vacancy. I'm happy to report we actually recruited someone who started in the new year. So we will be back to our full training plan. So we run training around moving, handling, safeguarding, leadership courses. We do have some e-learning as well. And the beauty about it is completely free as well. So I'm not going to bore you with the training plan at the moment. We do have a website, and I know Michelle has just put the link in the chat. Do go and have a look on our website. Any issues, any concerns, or if you want to chat to me on a one-to-one basis, I will provide you my email later on. Please do get in touch. You know, there's opportunities here, you know, and if you haven't already done so, please sign up on our website, on our mailing list, because that's what I use to promote any training, learning opportunities that the LSCG will have. Not just LSCDG, but even, for example, like Lawrence may be running free end-of-life care training sessions. Or I know this is a hot topic at the moment, which is the Oliver McGowan training tier 2. I know it's short notice, but I do get sort of emails from the lead for the Oliver McGowan training. So if you're on our mailing list, now we will reach out to you if you can, and they are very short notice. I would say maximize your existing resources, so any tools and resources you have that would help towards learning and development, improving the training. So, like I said, you know, thanks for that, Michelle. Talk to your colleagues, talk to each other, you know, buddy up with another organization, you know, down the road or wherever they are, you know, share your skills. I'm sure, you know, I know it does happen. So please do use that, and I hope this helps as well. So creating learning culture, I think it always starts from the top. Absolutely. And I think we need leadership commitment. You know, if you have strong leadership, they can champion that learning and that continuous development, isn't it? You know, we look towards our leaders for guidance and vision. Then if you are a training manager or a care home manager, then please do step up. You know, do include the staff as part of your decision. I mean, those, I don't know if any of you attended our leadership training courses, but we're really home on the staff involvement to ensure staff are sort of involved in both sort of learning and development, give them the opportunity as well. Recognize, and I'm sure you already do this, and reward motivating the staff. So if someone's been on some training session, I know one organization, when I went to visit them, right at the front of their literal doors and notice boards were pictures of all the staff who did what training. It was absolutely brilliant because, you know, it recognizes who did what and who the champion leadership was. So I was really quite pleased to go there and look at sort of organizations that do that. And, you know, there's always good feedback, isn't there? Always good to have continuous feedback. You know, you hear about 360 feedback where it's done both ways, but to continue to improve that, to go along and make sure people are learning. So I haven't finished yet, so don't worry, not going yet. One of the things I want you to do is identify one key area about learning development and look at to focus to improve in the next month if you can. Now, I'm not going to chase you up on all this. I'm going to leave this for you to look at and do. So just look at your organization, what something you can improve learning development, outline your steps and just do it. If you want to email me with what you've done, by all means do that. I'm just trying to encourage you to do something after I finish. You know, I appreciate, you know, you've been talked for almost an hour or so, but take time out, have a coffee, and then look at what learning development you can look at. And you have my email there. You can email me and see what learning development improvement you're going to make. Or if you want to handle anything with learning development, just drop me an email. Yeah. I'm going to stop there. I still have a few more slides, but anyone got any questions and reflections about learning and development, or have I bored the hell out of you, or do you want more of this participation? Any comments in the chat function? Are you all still here? Someone's typing away, so come on, what's going on there? Okay, while someone's typing out, I've got a few questions now for you. How many of you have actually, oh, well, you know about the LSEDG. Have any of you accessed any of our training? Just use the chat function, put yes, no, don't know. Is the training still available? It depends which question. Interesting for me, I main struggle with engagement. Is that engagement with staff? Is the training better? If you want to contact, I'm not sure who that training team is. If you've got my email, by all means contact me and we're going to have a bit of a chat. Thanks, Mark. Is put yes down there. My mouse has disappeared. There it is. Really used to be about yeah, absolutely. Like I said, I'm not here to teach you. You know all about this, but I think sometimes it was sort of good to sort of sit back and listen to someone else tell you something you already know. Just quickly, yeah, please do, Lily, bombast with that, absolutely. I just want to touch on funding. Okay, I appreciate that training development can be a cost to the organization. And I know the apprenticeships were earlier on talking about the funding element, but there is those who are aware, there used to be the Workforce Development Fund, and LSEG used to be the lead partners for that. Now that slowly is whittled away. There's something called the Learning and Development Support Scheme. Now it be claimed by anyone, any employer for the cost of training. There is, I'm not going to say a catch, there is, you have to have adult social care workforce data set count, and that needs to be updated. And you claim directly that through the Department of Health and Social Care. The LSEG no longer are lead partners, but I would really encourage you to look at, and I will send you the actual website link, unless Michelle or David can do that in the chat, because there's a whole raft of training that your staff can attend and claim the money back on, not just on qualification, but also on e-learning. So if you haven't had the opportunity to look at this funding, then please do have a look, because like I said, there's funding available there. Okay, you need to complete that social care workforce data set, but once you've done that, there's benefits around that, because earlier on I was talking about what sort of records do you keep. So, you know, that SWTS is like a mini training record, and it also has advantages around how you can benchmark yourself against other organizations. Thanks for that, Michelle. Michelle's put the link in the chat function, but I just wanted to touch on that. Right. The second half of this presentation is around the Thrive Learning Management System that the LSEG operates or uses to use for staff booking. Now, there's a few people on here I don't know how many of you have got accounts on our system or you haven't. So I'm just going to quickly run through this part and then I'll take questions. Okay, so what happened this year in January, our contract with our current provider came to an end. So as part of Leicestershire County Council, we went through a procurement and sort of process, and they came up, or with some individuals were part of a core group, went out, looked at the market, what was available, and then they chose a system called Thrive. Now, this is what we use to book online for training. I'm not going to show you how to book on. I'm just going to talk about Thrive, the LMS system. And when you first log in, it will be finding manual use. I will show you a demo rather than just talk about it. So I'll skip this slide. But I don't know how many of you recognize this. Those that work for Leicestershire County Council, so myself, Michelle, David, and Jenny, will see this when they land on the page, and we would use single sign-on. Now, for LSEG use, it's login with username. You click on that, and what happens then, you have to activate my account. Again, I'm not going to go through all this, but we have got information on our website. Now, there's a short video. I hope this is going to work with sound, so I want to play it. It's not very long, but it gives you an overview of the system. David, Jenny, or Michelle, I just need you to let me know if you can hear the sound. If you can't, I will stop it.
I now am asked to agree to the terms and conditions on the new Learning Hub. So I will agree and continue. I then have an option to customize my profile. I can skip this, or I can add a picture. So I am going to choose a picture of myself. I have one on my computer, ready to go. There. I've created a picture on my computer, and I will upload that. So I can start writing here what my role is. I can say a little bit about my skills and where I'm based. So I'm based at home. There, I will continue. So now I can pick some topics that I'm interested in. And I'm interested in adults and communities. I'm interested in equality, diversity and inclusion. And I'm interested in leadership and management. And then I'll continue. So what would I like to develop? Well, I'd like perhaps to get better at communication. I would like to learn more about leadership and management. And pick anything from here. I would like to learn about smarter working. So now I will continue. Before we get started, we'll watch the video. So now I've learned a little bit more.
We'll just skip that part. Sorry, what I should have said that when you first log in, what Madeline was showing you is what you do, what you choose. Like, for example, if you go on your website, you ask you for your preferences, and then you just click on the preferences. And you only do that the once. That was just a quick, short sort of intro, really. I don't want you to get too overwhelmed by, you know, the graphics and everything. So what LSU users, they'll be using with a manual login, and for managers, they'll see as you board the overall view. You can complete e-learning, you can sign up for courses and all sorts of things and access videos and resources. It is clinical. You can make it personalized, and there's something called pathways. So it's a collection of content. So for example, you might have to do some e-learning first, then followed by a webinar. And you can do like anything with your previous system. You can look at your future and past bookings, look at your history of learning and all sorts. I do like it because you can pin stuff. It's like quite a fluid system. I know I'm talking about it's very hard or difficult to explain something until you demo it. I'm not sure they've got time to demo it, the system, but I'm happy to sort of be contacted. I can show you. Now, although it showed Leicestershire County Council, the LSCG shares the same website, or the learning management system, sorry. It has the same function and facilities as Leicestershire County Council. There's certain things as an LSCG user you won't see or have access to what Leicestershire County Council probably would. So like an all LMS, it'll send you notifications and emails of courses you've joined. You can join on wait list, and if you have a webinar, you can get all the links from there as well. Now I put demo there. There's about 7 minutes left. I don't know whether you want to take questions and leave the demo for another day, or ask people to get in contact with me. And that was it, really. I just was conscious that it was almost 5 minutes left, and whether people have any questions, and Michelle and David and Jenny might want to just summarize something.
Thank you very much, Naz. Just to say, we do need to do Jenny's presentation, so
Yeah.
we don't have time for the demo, unfortunately. But if you wanted to do a demo and video it, we could send it out with the slides. But yeah, does anybody have any questions for Naz? Or has he blinded you with science?
Yeah, I'm blinding them with science. Too much audience work.
Okay, I'll take it by that everybody's okay, and I'll pass over to Jenny, please.
Thanks, Michelle. I'll just share my screen. There we go. So I'm just here today to talk to you a little bit and very, very briefly about a new educational and skills white paper that was released last week by the government. So the government is now making plans to streamline learning, specifically for post-16 learners as well. So this is how you can leverage that new skills plan. So with the white paper, we've been through it and we've just picked out some of the key points that we think will help you to access funded training, recruit faster, and just find easier career paths in Leicestershire. So we'll have a look at just some of the simple actions that you'll be able to take. So the 4 key benefits of this new white paper are that you will be able to access £1,500 per new staff member for their basic training, which is fantastic news, especially for our SMEs. You'll be able to get faster teams. So apprenticeship training time has now been cut to a minimum of 8 months. So that means that you can speed up the training process. And you'll also be able to get what you need. So telling local colleges exactly the specific courses that your team needs. And this means that you'll be able to keep the best people as well. So offering simple part-time courses for your supervisors to become managers. So it's going to really help you to focus on retention as well. So this white paper should help you to be able to make recruitment cheaper, faster, and more effective. So we're going to look at the four main challenges first of all. We've got a few problems and a few actions. So the first action is all about getting local training to work for you. So the government has given local training groups in Leicestershire, and this is what we call the local plan, money to train staff in priority sectors like ours. But they can't help us if they don't know our specific problems. So we really need to be a voice for the sector, speaking up and saying what our training needs are and what we need for our staff. So we need to be telling them three clear things. So our staff work nights and weekends. So we need to be demanding as a sector that local colleges and training providers offer training courses like short placements or skills refreshers that fit outside of that standard 9 to 5 office hours. And this is really key, especially for our domiciliary care and night staff as well. So we advertise our roles in care as 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, flexible working. And if we want training to be in line with that, we need that to meet the needs of the workers as well. So we need specific skills as well. So we need you to be able to use your data on vacancies to ask for short custom courses on things that you really need, like it could be advanced moving and handling, for example, or managing challenging behaviour, rehabilitation. So as an action, we need our providers to have short formal meetings with the local planning team, and we need to present this list. They do have the budget to provide what we need as a sector, and I think sometimes we are really underrepresented as a sector. We are now considered a priority sector as well for training and development, so we really need to make sure that the adult social care sector voice is represented to the local plan. So the £1,500 funding per new starter. So this is really the biggest financial win for the sector. It tackles staff induction and it will give you as a provider the money back. So the plan is a simple 2-step recruitment funnel. The Quick P training, so work with a local college to run a short free course like a skills bootcamp, for example, because this teaches people the absolute basics before they join. You can promise them an interview if they pass, so all of these skills bootcamps offer guaranteed interviews, and this gives you that warm candidate pool who are ready and committed to work in care. Inspired Care have already been doing some work with adult learning as well around the skills bootcamp. So if you haven't engaged with us about the skills bootcamp, I really do encourage you to. So at the minute we've got the curriculum for the skills bootcamp that they will be running out, and we're really keen to get feedback off adult social care providers on what they think of that curriculum, whether it suits their needs, whether they feel like it's going to make people employable. So if you're interested in engaging with us, please do drop us an email. Then step B is the £1,500 payback. So when you hire a new adult care worker, if you immediately enrol them onto the new basic qualification, which will be called the Level 2 Care Certificate. So that's really, really important to get that funding. The government has a fund called the LDSS, or the Learning Development and Support Scheme, and that's who will pay you the £1,500 to cover the cost of getting that new staff member qualified. So as part of this, we do need our providers to register for that LDSS fund. Get onto that straight away. It's a no-brainer to get that money. And then if you're thinking about your job adverts as far as recruitment is concerned, you can be advertising a slogan like "Join us, get fully qualified in 6 months," and it's all fully funded as well. So it will really help our staff to be professionalised and feel professional as well, and understand that they're going to get that training as soon as they join you. So the next pull out from the white paper is the fact that the apprenticeship now has been cut down to a minimum of 8 months. So this is really going to hopefully address the problem with long apprenticeship commitments and early dropouts. So if you use apprenticeships, this new rule will be a game changer for you. So it means the apprenticeship length is now shorter. Most apprenticeships level 2 or 3 must now last only a minimum of 8 months. And that's down from about a year and sometimes more in some circumstances. So this gets staff competent and qualified faster, saving you money and reducing the time they spend off the rota as well.
There's also no more English and maths stress for adults. So again, this is another really big pull out from the new white paper. So if you have a new recruit who's over 19, the strict English and maths exam requirements are now optional. So this means your experienced adult care staff can focus purely on care skills, leading to faster completion. So your action to take from this is when you next sign a training contract, make sure that your provider is using that new 8-month minimum, because this will be really crucial for managing your rotas. And the last action is all about keeping your best staff. So we've all got great senior carers, team leaders who could go on to be deputies or managers, but they can't take 2 years off to go to university, for example. But this new system should solve that. So from 2027, the government will give every person something called a learning credit bank, and that's worth about £38,000 for higher level courses. So instead of a full degree, staff can use these credits to take small, high quality part-time courses in specific areas like supervision skills or leadership and management, for example. So the benefit for you is that your staff will get a formal recognised qualification to progress their career, and they'll stay on the job with you while they learn. So it's a really, really good retention rule. It really offers you the chance to promote those clear progression pathways as well with careers within the sector. So an action for you to take from that is to start planning with local colleges now. So start engaging with local schools and colleges. So if you're a member of Inspired Care, that's something that we can help you do. So if you want to know more about that, we do have a toolkit on our website, or you can drop us an email and we can have a chat to you about how you can engage with local schools in your area. But if you start engaging with those local schools and colleges now, you can create a short list of those courses, almost putting together a menu ready to offer your staff in 2027 when that new funding comes in. So last but not least is just a practical 90-day plan. So the plan is really practical and simple, and it just consists of 3 simple things that you could do as a provider within the next 90 days to start benefiting from this new white paper. So you could register for that LDSS fund. So this is step 1 to accessing that £1,500 per new hire. So make sure you get onto that. You are entitled to that money, so please make sure that you do utilise it as well. Speak to the local planning team, so ensuring that new courses being funded locally are useful to your shift patterns and your specific skill needs. And then make sure all of those training contracts are updated, so ensure your training providers are using the new 8-month minimum for apprenticeships to get our teams competent faster. So this new white paper for education and skills is really new to us, so we've picked out those key elements. I'm sure there'll be plenty more to come from it, so do keep looking in our website and checking your inbox for more information. Thank you.
That's wonderful. Thank you very much. Has anyone got any questions for Jenny? No, I think we're all good. So thank you very much to everyone for attending today. I will begin the process of uploading the YouTube video, and as soon as that's done, I'll send the link out alongside the presentations once I've got them. So thank you very much, and we will see you on the next one. Bye.
Thank you. Thanks. Bye.
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 Bye all.